how do we build a new diaspora while we have to face World Bank, global racism, all these geopolitical threats? Because it seems like whenever we make any advancements, the rules change or attacks happen. We're seeing Haiti go through it now. Even Rashad, you saying that financed the Eiffel Tower, that's crazy to me. I didn't know that. But how do we make change without becoming targets for the system?
Well, that's a good point. The way that we make change, I keep saying that we have to be on the world stage. And in order to do that, we have to have trade for trade. We have to focus on our natural resources, our economies. Like, let's start to build things that we know that the rest of the world is going to need, right? So that we could become a player of the world. And I think that this conversation that we're having now is bigger than a conversation. So with the new diaspora, we have judges, we have lawyers, right? We have people who want to shape policies and want to see it different, right? We have people in the World Bank that even if they don't talk, like people want to, there's still the groups of people that want to see the difference. How do you face to not be a target towards anyone? There have to be a need, right? Because if it's not a need, all you're going to do is be a casualty of war. And I think that Haiti has so much to offer the rest of the world. And I think that focusing on the policies, focusing on the industry, building the new diaspora as a force of policy, investment force for economic force, will give us leverage to be able to speak 101 on the world stage moving forward.
So before I let you go, I want to actually give you an opportunity to kind of switch gears a little bit, because obviously you have a lot of responsibilities, and it's a lot for one man to actually hold so much on his shoulders. But I want to talk about some other aspects of life that I know you're passionate about. Like, we saw you, I think you was in Davos. I don't think we got a chance to connect in Davos, but I believe you was in Davos. So I know Troy said you're heavily tapped in on the technology side. So as far as you, somebody that's reinventing himself time and time again, what technology are you most excited about, and what technology are you most I don't want to use the word fearful, but what technology concerns you the most? Because there's a lot of concern out there. So what excites you and what concerns you?
Okay, I think that I probably can speak. I think I can speak as a representative of Google Mind, right? So let's start off with what the audience feared. What the audience fear is the prospect of AI in the sense of being uncontrollable, right? So I'll give you an example, like in my world, right? Say like an AI can actually create Hips Don't Lie. It can create 911. It can create the score. But the key is the coding in that data and the information comes from humans, right? So I think that technology to a point has made us kind of lazy, where we don't want to use our minds, right? Because think of like us as Asiatic, right? Still, if you go back to the pyramid, and I could keep going on different inventions, right? Where the original iPhone is you looking at the stars and being able to decipher what's going to happen. So I say to you that man meets machine, machine will never be smarter than the innovator. So this is very important for you to understand that. But I just feel like if we don't step up our game, if we don't start to think advance, if we don't start to think past what's here, then we're going to end up in an area where a lot of people are going to lose jobs, which you've seen happening now, right? So if my little niece is 5 or 6 years old, I got her in a coding program right now. right? Because you could see how the world is changing and what that language is going to be. But I always say the fear of the AI is the lack of creativity and invention, because it could never be smarter than you within the human. If we did not exist, then thus information cannot be pulled and put into coding form. So to me, that's something that I see firsthand in everything going on. What I'm excited about is the prospect of us. The prospect of us, and when you look at the data that's being produced out there, just take Netflix, for example, like half of the content is coming from Africa. Just give you an example. Like half of the content. Now, if we was to analytically break that piece of data down, we're talking about billions of dollars, right? When we look at companies like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and we could keep going, I'm excited about the prospect of what's next. Meaning, what's the next invention? I feel like that has to come from us. The reason why I say that is because all of the data banks on one thing: cultural relevancy. That's their biggest currency, the content of cultural relevancy. So I would like to see a great awakening within our communities, and we start to set up new platforms where, versus people just constantly giving their data away, they start to understand the importance of data mining and platforms that could set up to create that and help people build their data, and in the process start to make money themselves.
In terms of, obviously you're a doctor of music and a legend when you're talking about awakening. I wonder, do people in that field look to you as somebody's inspiration for information, right? Like when we go to a lot of these places, we're in Davos, we're at summits, we see you, we see will.i.am, we hear about Chamillionaire. Are there others that are out there that are trying to figure out how to adapt to the way technology is headed, especially when it comes to artificial intelligence? Or are people just kind of ignoring it from your perspective?
I think that it's up to us to bring it to them, right? So, I mean, to me and will.i.am, we speak in depth. That's like my little brother. But it's almost like when I'm looking at what's going on in Davos, I'm like, man, how do we work on something and bringing it to this side of the world, right? Because I think that guess what? They can't get to Davos like us. They're not as fortunate enough. They're not invited, right? So, but we have so much information and we come back, right? So I remember back in the days, man, when I was a young man, before I had this long beard, I remember and then there was like Freaknik, there was How Can I Be Down? There was all of these, booty conventions, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day,
Actor rapper.
We all like college kids, you know what I'm saying? Y'all already know. And I call them the booty conventions because everyone would be creeping to each other's dorms. Y'all don't have to lie about it. We all know what it is, right? So in this process, right, let's step it up. Like, do a version of that. Now it's no longer that. It's our version of what a Davos would be here with the technology, like bringing in the will.i.ams, the Wyclefs, all of us together. Like, why can't we set up something here? I think it would be tasteful, it would be interesting, and it would again give the youth here, the women and men here who have this kind of knowledge, but who lacks that knowledge, that we get there and start our own version of what that would be here. I'm excited about that prospect and seeing how we all could team up on that. That is very, what's the phrase? What do they say? Information is power. They can't get over there. So there's things that we see that we could bring back on this side.
On the music side, do you feel that the music industry is dying? And Fuji sold with 27 million albums. Like, what's the blueprint for a successful group and branding and marketing in the music business today?
So here's the secret. The secret is in the publishing. It's in the catalog. It's in what you write and making sure that you own that, right? So this is what I always tell the youth, right? This is the power. So I tell people I got in the music business because I ain't want to go to college and I needed to have a profession, even though I still went to college. Now, the profession is songwriting. It's in the composition. So what that means is, I was telling somebody that when we did Killing Me Softly, I made somebody else millions and millions of dollars, right? Mm-hmm. That's when I understood, hold up. I mean, even though we get money while we performing, but somebody's getting money and they not performing, they chilling. They probably just eating popcorn right now, watching a movie. I said, that's the side that we need to be on, the publishing side. So in that, when you hear a song like DJ Khaled, Wild Thoughts, boom, 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 right? Now that's a sample from my song, Maria, Maria, that I own the catalog, right? So when we watch the Super Bowl, and now I'm eating the popcorn, right? I'm on the other side of the fence. So what I try to urge the youth is, yeah, you get money, but you got to see past the hype and make sure that you're creating something that, right? Because think about it, we're 30 years in now. So I came out in 1993. How many artists that came up from my era that y'all could FaceTime right now? And if I was to take you around my compound, it would take me 2 hours. Right? Think about it. I had to do a rap flex real quick, right? But the reason why I did this rap flex real quick was to say, as funny as it sounds, maybe 2 or 3, right? Because the power, right? The power has to be in the composition. So I always tell the youth, make sure that you own your publishing. Make sure that you have in control of what you're writing. Because later, if you decide to sell a piece of it, that's your intellectual property. That's your real estate.